We're drawing box plots today. All right, what's a box plot? Well, it's a way to display quantitative data. So this is going to show you your 5-number summary really quickly, and it's also going to show you outliers, and it can help you recognize skew and other things like that. So the first thing you want to know about the box plot is that it shows your 5-number summary. So this is your min, this is your quartile 1, this is your quartile 3, this is your median, and this is your max, unless you have an outlier. If you have an outlier, that's actually your max, but we're not going to graph the whiskers all the way to the outliers, and you'll see why. So basically what the box plot tells us is that half of our data is above the median and half of our data is below the median, right? So that means that 50% is here and 50% is here. And since we cut the bottom half in half, we have half of our data is here and half of our data is here. In other words, 25% of our data is right there and 25% of our data is right there. 25% is here and 25% is here. So how do we actually graph a box plot? Well, first we need some data. Okay, so we have this data and we're going to figure out how to put this into a box plot. So we're going to organize it into numerical value or in ascending order. 5, 7, 9, 12. Oops. 11, then 12, then 17, then 31, then 52. So here I have it. Here we're going to do our 5-number summary. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 data points. So my median is going to be halfway in between those. So my median is going to be 10. Then my quartile 1 is going to be 5. My quartile 3 is going to be 17. And now I can make my box plot. This is my min and this is my max. Except before I make my box plot, I need to see if any of these are outliers because we are not going to make our whiskers go all the way to the outliers. So we have our quartile 3 is 17 and quartile 1 is 5. So our interquartile range is going to be 12. So we take 1.5 times that, 1.5 our IQR. So 12, 1.5 times 12 is 18. So anything bigger than 18 away from 17 or 18 away from 5 is going to be considered an outlier. So 17 plus 18 is 35. So anything bigger than 35 or less than -13 is considered an outlier. So 31 is not an outlier, but 52 is an outlier. So when we're graphing our box plot, we're going to take that into consideration. So the first thing we need to do is we need to draw a nice little number line, and we're going to start here at 0 and we're going to end at 53 so that we can have every number on our box plot. I'm going to end at like a nice number, 55. So let's see if this is 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40, 45, 50, 55, 60. Whoop, okay, we're going to make that 65 so that I don't have to redraw all those tick marks. That's going to be 65. All right. Then I'm going to go ahead and graph each of these points. Okay, so my min is at 1. Let's start with our median. Our median is 10. Okay, so our median goes here. And then we draw a box on either side of our median that goes up to quartile 3 and down to quartile 1. So down to quartile 1 goes here, and up to quartile 3 goes right about there. So that's our box. And this is actually sometimes called a box and whisker plot because it has these whiskers that go off the edge. So the whisker is going to go all the way down to our minimum. As long as it's not an outlier, it goes down to our minimum. And then we're going to graph our outlier as a little dot. And then our whisker goes to the next highest value that is not an outlier. So 31 is not an outlier. So we're going to go up to 31 with our whisker. But we are not going to take that whisker to the 52 because 52 is an outlier. So our box looks like this. It shows if there's skew in the data. And there we go. That's our box and whisker plot. So again, the process to this would be, once you find your 5-number summary, start with your median, then use your quartile 1 and quartile 3 to draw your boxes. Now this box plot is vertical. You can do a vertical box plot, or you can do a horizontal. I do horizontal most of the time, but a lot of times in textbooks and stuff, we'll see vertical ones as well. So you do your quartile 1 and quartile 3. Then what you can do is you can make a little fence here for your outliers. So you can say this is 1.5 times my IQR is here and here. So this is my fence. So my max and my min cannot be outside of that fence. So I'm going to take my whiskers and I'm going to draw them to the closest point that is not outside the fence. So I draw the whisker here, and then in the end, I draw little dots for all the outliers. This one happens to have a lot of outliers. There's one even below my head. There you go, you can see it. And so we draw all of our outliers in there to show that those outliers exist. We didn't just forget about them or throw them out, but what we said is they don't really fit in our data set, so we're going to show them as outliers.